Alright, welcome everyone to another live stream with my very long friend here and dear comrade. I personally call him Finno, but you can call him Juha or whatever. Hello, welcome for joining us.
Hello and nice to meet everyone here in this stream of my good comrade. So, what are we going to discuss? What is the topics of today?
I think we should start and discussing about modern capitalism. I would like to know your opinion about how life is formed and how the living conditions have changed compared to the past 30 years, as a matter of fact.
Wait, so you want to discuss about how life has changed,
Exactly.
but before that, what was the question? I couldn't hear it properly.
Yeah, of course. I would like to discuss about the living conditions in your country. You're from Finland, of course. Finland
Yes,
is a Nordic country, and you are a welder.
of course.
And you are a welder in the industrial sector. So I would like,
True.
for introductions, to talk about how you do in your life and how your living conditions are.
Where to start? In Finland, we are, of course, in Finland. This is a first world country. We are a well-developed country. We are one of the best countries in the European Union. And if you have read newspapers recently, you would see that Finland is elected as the most happiest country in the world.
Really? Okay.
Of course, yes. So, well, to be honest, Finland, of course, it is a very good country to live in. Of course, we have more better quality of life than, for example, in third world countries of Africa, Asia, and maybe Latin America. But everyone should also understand that Finland is also a very expensive country to live in. And while other Nordic countries like Norway, which has oil, and Sweden, which has a very developed industrial sector as well as natural resources, Finland does not have much of that. So living in Finland is basically that of other Nordic countries, but life quality is much higher. But payment, salaries, and stuff like that, they are not as like, how do you say? They are not on par with other Nordic countries.
So you're saying that the living expenses in Finland are higher than in other Nordic countries?
Yes, we have very high living conditions.
And taxation as well.
For example, if we compare Norway and Finland, of course, Norway has higher living standards and living expenses, but in Norway, the salaries are also higher. So if you are a Norwegian living in Norway, you'll be living a decent life, maybe. Even if you work a simple job like, what is the profession called? Fishing industry. I don't know what the English words are, but if you work something as simple as that in Norway, your living costs will be on par with that. But in Finland, it's not that simple because our country is not as expensive. I mean, as wealthy as Norway.
Right. How do you?
So
go on.
I was just going to say that even if you earn a lot of money in Finland, you will still be paying a lot of that money in taxation and in living expenses, along with other different means. Because in Finland, we have a lot of restrictions. For example, driving a car is very expensive, and I can personally say that from my own experience.
How do you rate life quality in Finland?
Well,
Would you prefer to live in a country with less
if we,
expenses?
well, if we, well, this is a difficult question because we live in a planet with nearly 8 billion people. So Finland is one of the best countries to live in. Of course, it's good to live in this country because we have everything. We have cheap healthcare. We have pretty safe country. You don't need to fear going to the supermarket at 8 p.m. You can just walk the streets and nobody is going to come and shoot you in the head for 20 euros. And it has a very good protection for working people. So the wealthy, the elite, they cannot use the piece in your eyes and take what's yours.
Are you?
So of course,
Are you a
so
socialist? Okay, go on.
I was still speaking.
Of course.
So of course, Finland is a better country to live in than most countries in the world. But if we only count European countries, Finland is like one of those fringe countries that if you have a very high education, if you are a successful entrepreneur, you will have good life. But if you are not one of those, you will struggle. You will have to plan accordingly to have a good future. You need to save money for a lot, or you need to live very how do I explain? You need to save money and you need to live more or less
expensively.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how to tell it in English properly, but something like that.
All right. So, are you a socialist?
I am, to be honest, I am center left. If we talk about everything,
like you're democratic socialist.
Like I said, I am center left, but I learn to left wing on most issues because I want to have more wealth for the working people. I want to have a better life for the working people.
Do you think it is time for the workers to own their own factories, for example, that they work into, and not getting exploited by a capitalist class that lives off the surplus value of the workers who work into them?
Well, of course, but
so you're socialist.
But there are. You didn't let me finish. There are of course, I support that the working people should own the means of production. The working people should be in control of all that. But the thing is that in a country like Finland and every European country, there is no socialism. We are living in a world of capitalism where capitalists are fighting different type of capitalists. So instead, I would like to have a more system where the working people have more control, but it's not so. I don't know how to describe. All
right. How do you see other socialists today that support totalitarian regimes like North Korea, and in some instances they support monopoly unions like Russia, who is ultra-capitalist and the most unequal country in the world in terms of wealth?
Well, where do I start? Of course, I oppose these kind of socialists because...
Well, they're not socialists. They have removed that on the constitution. They do not say that they're Marxist anymore or communist. They hide behind an agenda like Nazi Germany used to say that they are National Socialists, but in truth they are backwards and feudalist regimes.
Well, of course, I oppose authoritarian regimes and authoritarianism. And I don't understand why some left-wing people support countries like North Korea. What if you look at the newspapers, and there is something about the news, North Korea. The only thing you see is about the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un.
Yes.
Where are the people? Where are the people and their living conditions? All you see is Kim Jong-un. So that's like a dictatorship. It is a dictatorship.
Of course, it is a dictatorship. How do you judge that they pass down their authority from father to son? That's not very socialist. If we see from great comrade Stalin, he resigned and his son was a truck driver. He didn't take power. Do you think that North Korea is a feudalistic monarchist regime that passed down their descendants from father to son to retain power inside the family?
Yes, I do believe that because, for example, the Kim Jong-un, he was his education is from Switzerland. He did not educate in North Korea. How about the normal North Korean people? Can they go to Switzerland to get education? Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
If a North Korean person that is given education in Switzerland
Mm-hmm.
and then becomes a fucking dictator of the country, is elected into leading positions, of course he's not elected by the people or elected parliamentary. That's bullshit. If North Korea was truly democratic, every North Korean would be given the chance to go into Switzerland to get education and then be presented into election to become the leader of the country.
How are we
Does
going...
that happen?
Yeah.
Does that happen in North Korea?
No, not really. I don't think it happens at all.
Yes,
How do
it
you
does not.
think we are going to build socialism inside the European Union, for example?
I think
Wait,
that happens.
To clarify something, you're in favor of the European Union, right?
Of course, I am in favor of European Union because European Union it makes our European countries, it makes us more connected with each other. It makes ideas spread better. It makes like if some law is passed, it usually applies most European countries as well. So, and also we elect the officials into the European Parliament.
Of course,
so
we have elections every 5 years.
Exactly, we elect the people that we want to represent us.
So how are we going to build socialism in the European Union? With democratic
I think it comes from stuff like universal basic income. And
did you sign the petition I sent you yesterday to sign the union?
I have not yet signed such. Yes, I will. You shall provide me the documents
I
to
will
sign.
give you the document again in private, and I will also put it on the stream so our viewers can sign it. This is sign the petition for a universal basic income in the European Union. I already did, and so did my girlfriend, and she sent it to her family, and I will send it to mine. I will get every adult in Greece to sign it. we need to sign the universal basic income, and we need to sign it everywhere. Slovenia has already passed it. This is the good news. It started on March 25th, I think, and now it's April 17th. Not even a month has passed. And Slovenia has already collected the minimum amount of signatures needed. Greece is third right now, which is amazing. All right, continue, please.
Yes.
With your opinions on the matter.
Yes, as I was saying, one of the ways to achieve socialism in the European Union is to sign something like the universal basic income. And it's really difficult, to be honest, to say further because Europe is a very diverse continent. We have many different countries, small and big, and each of them has different type of people. And of course, the older generations are more in favor of keeping the current order because they have gathered more of the wealth.
Yes, the boomers.
And we, the young, yeah, exactly.
The boomer class.
True. Meanwhile, we, the younger class, we have less wealth than the older generations. We do not have the means or the abilities to gather wealth like our fathers, our grandfathers, our great grandfathers. So I think another reason how European Union will achieve socialism is through the young people, us, those who are growing up into adulthood and into work life, because we will understand that we do not have the same opportunities as our ancestors. We cannot walk into a workplace and say we need a job, and you work that job 20 years and you have like your own house, your own family, 2 cars, you have everything settled up. It's not that easy in this age and time.
Absolutely.
So my opinions, at least so far, is that young people and universal basic income are some of the ways to achieve socialism in Europe in this time period. It's not through revolution like in Russia and other European countries in the late 1910, but it's through democratic means and through action by the young people.
Yes,
Those that will inherit the earth.
I agree. We were discussing about life quality, and I want to go to another topic now. I want to discuss about how society has changed since, let's say, the 80s, 90s, where even in the 60s, 50s, all these years, where our parents and grandparents could have a single job on their lifetime, work hard, and live the so-called American dream, the capitalist dream, that if they work hard, they will get employed and they will get a pension when they're 60. They could buy their own house. But this is not anymore true in our digital generation, is it? You have to.
I agree.
You have to have a broad set of skills, both manual but especially mental, and
exactly.
Charismatic. And you might not have the same job 5 years from now. You might work in another sector. You can even work, let's say you have a university degree on philosophy, on history, on sociology, and being employed by something completely different. You can do marketing, you can go in other sectors. How do you see that?
I agree with most of you said. And where do I start? The world has changed, and like I already before mentioned, you cannot walk into a certain workplace and work a certain job 20 years and you will have a decent life. In modern day, especially the young people, they need experience, they need more education if they want to get a higher and better education. So what there is to say?
How do you find this this change? Is it hard to adapt because you have some so do I. You have some economic difficulties, and so do I. I'm still unemployed because of the coronavirus, and sometimes you've seen reductions on your wage, or they're at full capacity. How do you see this?
Well, again, where do I start? It's difficult because stuff like this, like let's go back in time. Back in the time, if you worked a simple job and you worked that job, you got wealth that was enough to get you decent life. If you lose your job, if you got into a difficult life situation, you could have enough savings so that you can move on to another type of job. it was a lot easier. But in our type of world, it's not that simple. You need more education. You need more, especially if you are working manual work, you need more vocational degrees. And if you want to
take your time.
Again, yeah, take your time. Sorry, it's just a lot of knowledge and a broad topic. If you want to like work for higher wage in modern world, you need that more education. You need to have a lot more experience, and like I probably said those already, but the thing is that in modern world, you don't, especially if you're young, you probably may not have that experience because you need to change your work. You may not be able to work that same job for enough time.
Absolutely. Yeah, go on.
And well, I was just trying to say that the older generations don't understand that if you work certain job and you don't learn all the stuff you need to, and you want to change a job, it may not matter in the next job place because it is not as simple as it was back in the day. You're again going round and round because, like I'm saying, you didn't need as much education in 30-40 years ago like you do now.
Absolutely. Something else I wanted to talk about is savings. Banks in the past used to give large interest rates from 10 to 20% of interest rates. And today banks give interest rates of 0.1%. This makes it unable for young people who work a job to save up and have this money in the future. Not only that, but in the past, due to inflation, most of your money, of course, will be lost. But especially today, if you save this money, aside that they are not paid on interest, that means that if you put today in the bank 10,000 euros, tomorrow you're going to have 10,010 the next year. Like, there's absolutely no interest, you know. And aside of that, in order to make money on the long run, you have to invest that saved money on investments that produce capital, such as businesses, real estate, stocks. So life is definitely harder, and it is definitely harder for young people to save up. And let's say I'm going to go on university, work a part-time job, like my parents and grandparents did, and then I am going to, when I get my university degree and find a permanent job, well-paying job, I'm going to save up, and you know what? I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to buy a house, settle down, have a family. This is impossible today, let's be honest. This is clearly impossible today. The middle class is dying. 40 years ago, you could buy with $50,000, you could buy a Ferrari. You could buy a villa. Today, with $50,000 due to inflation, they're not even enough to buy an apartment in bad areas in Greece. Like, this is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And it's quite frustrating, and it puts you into thoughts. What is my future? Like, how am I going to do anything? Even if I have skills and education, it's not enough anymore. You need capital, you need money.
I agree with that. And one reason for that, at least, that this is my theory, is that many of the older generations, they have a lot of money in their own bank accounts that they do not use. It's money lying completely still in bank accounts.
That's
And
completely true.
if that money was put into circulation, more people,
We'll get it jobs through investments and all that. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
true.
Yeah, in Greece, for example, we had in 2015 we had a capital crisis. That meant that our banks had run out of money, and that means bad news. We couldn't pay wages and everything. So the left-wing government initiated capital controls, so people could not withdraw their money. And studies say that a lot of very old people, grannies, they don't trust the banks, and they had their money in their homes, in their homes, in pillows and blankets, and how do you the one you lay down on the bed, the surface.
What did you mean?
I forgot the word in English.
Like under pillow, in the sock.
No. In the one you lay down, the surface, mattress. Yeah, the mattress. They had their money in the mattress. This is
yeah.
they're hiding their mattress, and they almost bankrupted Greece because they don't trust the banks. So the government had literally to initiate a total capital control. People couldn't remove money aside the 60 euros per day because of that. That's absolutely crazy. I think we should confiscate money from the boomers. They make bad use of it.
Yeah, that's probably in every European country today, that older generations put their money into safe places and they do not use that. There are probably grannies with hundreds of thousands of euros in the mattresses.
I remember,
and they are living like they are very poor. They walk to the shop by the cheapest of items.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they own something like own houses, summer cottages, everything.
I remember a Greek dark comedy that there was an old granny, and she was saving her life savings inside an old television. She had worked 3 jobs her entire life, and she had gathered almost $1 million by the time she was like 80. And then her grandkids threw away the television to buy a new one. that was like hilarious, I swear. So we have situations like this.
And probably a true story.
Yeah, probably.
At least based on truth.
It's quite sad because Europe has the largest concentration of capital as a continent. We have like 35% of capital in the world concentrated in the European Union. And it's a pity that this capital is not used to create jobs and stimulate the economy.
Exactly. But most of this money is in the hands of the very wealthy and the older generation that do not use the money.
This is why
they
I support,
are like...
Yeah.
No, continue.
This is why I support a universal basic income, because it will guarantee every European living qualities. They will be able to rent a house and buy food and buy electricity and water, like the basics for living. And then if they want to make the good life, they can get a good job, a good education, without worrying, oh, you know what, I don't have money, I should get a job. No. This will guarantee people their life expenses. And aside that, it will stimulate the economy, because what is left, okay, it will go to companies that supermarkets, electric companies, and the rest. It will stimulate the economy because it will go for consumer goods. And the more you buy as a customer, the more jobs are created. This is a matter of fact. This is why I'm against austerity and neoliberalism, because a strong middle class means a happier people and a stronger economy, even with capitalist means.
Yes, and I agree with all that. It's like if you spend money and all that money, it goes into the economy. it creates jobs, it creates well-being in this capitalist economy. So instead of saving, I mean, if we all have that universal economic income, we can use that income to pay our necessary expenses of rent, electricity, food, and okay, some people might be lazy. They may not work at all. They might just lay on their beds all day. But then there are some people that want to make a better life. They will seek a job, and since the universal basic income would be real, they could even choose a less paying job.
This is
and even if they would work in a less paying job, they could still gather enough wealth to get a good life, because the UBI would be enough to pay off their necessary life qualities, and the work, what the salary they get would be enough to be spent on everything else.
Absolutely.
But the boomers do not understand this. The boomers think that if we spend money on something like entertainment, it's wasted money.
Yes, the boomers
fucking ridiculous.
The boomers don't understand this, and they also have these ideas. Oh, you want free money? You're lazy. In my generation, I did this. In my generation, it was harder, and
yeah,
it's completely rubbish. Something else why I support socialism. Now let's move on another subject. The workday.
All right.
We cannot force people to work 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life on Earth. We cannot force people to work 8 hours a day. We were working 8 hours a day when we had the steam engine, and today we have robots. It is not the same. We do not need all these people. And for countries like Greece, that there is and Spain, and that there is a very high unemployment, especially amongst young people. The young generation, there's a very high unemployment. And how is unemployment created in capitalism? It is created because the production that you need to sustain an economy, a society, is stopped. We produce as much as we need. And we don't need this. How much is it in Greece now? 15% of the population that is not working. We don't need it. We have no need for them to work. We produce enough wealth as we need. And this is how unemployment is created. We can solve this with inflation, of course, but we don't want this in the European Union, right? We have to control inflation so our money don't become worthless. So instead, we could limit, while keeping the same wages and minimum wage, with small reductions, we can limit the workday to 6 hours. France has already a 7 hours workday. French people work 7 hours, not 8. They don't need to work more.
They do actually. Yes. In all sectors.
Yeah. I think 35 hours, not 40 per week in France. And
that's new news.
In Scandinavia, they work I think 2 hours less on Friday. So they have 38, not 40. They work 2 hours less per week in Denmark, in Scandinavian countries. In France, they work 5 less. So 1 hour less per day. And we can do this in Greece, for example. We can work 6 hours while keeping about the same wage, right? There will be small reductions per month. I've created a plan in my mind, and it will reduce wages by 40 euros a month. But at the same time, people will work 40 hours less, and it will create 1,150,000 new jobs for young people. This will be immense. Everyone will be working. Everyone will have an income to spend, while maintaining more or less the same purchase power. And this will stimulate the economy, keep people happy, and at the same time, the state will collect this money in taxes and reinvest it. We can do it all over Europe. We don't need to work 8 hours anymore. and it will relax people as well. What do you think?
What do I think? Well, 6 hours a day. Personally, I think it depends on what kind of profession you work. Because you said that we have robots, that we have
Of course, we
robots
have
and
robots today. Automation. Yeah.
But not all sectors
Not
of
all,
work have some. Not everyone has that. So what about those lines of works that do not have such things like robotics or automation?
Listen
Yep.
up, and this is why I'm socialist. I believe,
Mhm.
well, humans are not made for harsh labor. We are not made for manual labor. We are not extremely strong, right? I don't know, rhinoceros or a lion that has muscles, and it's built for exercising. Humans have
Yep.
endurance, but humans have also a big brain. Humans are creative beasts, and when as a society we were food gatherers, right? We collected our
Yep.
food with hunting. We have this. I believe it will be for the greatest of the society if European countries move on with automation by 2030. It will replace 800 million jobs in the world, robots, in the manufacturing sector especially, and it will allow us to have more free time, invest that in creativity. A lot of us need leisure. There is nothing shameful to say I don't want to work on a manual labor. I want to work in a university environment. I want to work as an artist. I want to provide with my creativity in the society. We don't all need to work in a factory 8 hours or work in an office 8 hours and stare at the screen being alienated. We can do other things. We can explore creativity. And you know what? We can be lazy once in a while. We can say, you know what? This week I'm not working. I work the next week. We must move towards this form of employment that is more free for people. What do you think about that?
Of course, I support it, but like I have my doubts because most of the companies, the entrepreneurs, they are working for more profit, so they are like thinking stuff like that, and people being less, people working less. How can they, the entrepreneurs, profit? So that creates a problem. But if the entrepreneurs think that they cannot support or sustain that kind of workplace, so more people become unemployed.
Mhm.
So what do you think? How can the smaller, the less wealthy entrepreneurs support a system like that, where everyone can work 6 hours, where most of the production is
Yeah,
automatized
exactly.
or
It will start with
work
it will start with
robots?
8. And I don't know where's my book. I have it here.
Okay,
I will bring it if you can wait.
all right.
Okay,
All right.
here's my book.
Yes. It's in Greek.
Of course,
So
it's called The Right to Laziness by Paul Lafargue. Paul Lafargue was a French revolutionary, and he was the son-in-law of Marx, I think.
yes.
Yeah, he married the second daughter of Karl Marx, called Laura Marx. And
Okay.
he's known for his book, The Right of Laziness, The Right of Leisure, most likely. This is a short book. It's 57 pages. This is translated into Greek. Lafargue was French. And the description reads that in a society that has managed to achieve, aside from any ideological differences, to deify work, not for the workers. This book with the title The Right to Leisure is striking our interest and move us throughout the times, since this book by Paul Lafargue remains intact throughout over a century. Very relevant. So Paul Lafargue explains here with numbers, here, for the Greek audience. He explains here with numbers that the vast majority of the people, for example, in Wales, the population of England and Wales in 1861 was 20 million people. 9.7 were men and 10.2 were women million. The vast majority, though, did not work a productive life. If we calculate the workers of the mining of the mines and the textiles, the number is 1.2 million. And if we add more on the metal industry, the number is another 1 million. That means that the vast majority of these people, the rest, the 8 millions, were non-productive due to machines. The machines allowed about 2 million people to do most of the job. And this, Lafargue explains that we can reduce, based on the numbers, everyone can work 6 hours. And later on, we can reduce it to 4. If everyone is willing to work a couple of hours every day and be a productive member of society. And I was greatly influenced by this reading, and I realized that even today in Greece, the majority of people, you have some people working farmers, and you have some people working in the industries. But 70% of Greece, 71, 75, I think, 76, I don't remember the exact number, but it's over more than 7 out of 10 people are working on services. They are not producing wealth on an industry or in the farms. And of course, we need people in the services, of course, but not these many people. So it will be way easier. And of course, in Greece right now, there are like 15% of people who are unemployed. So it will be way easier if we limit the work hours. So everyone can have a job, just work less.
So you're saying that, for example, a simple workplace would have maybe 4, or I mean, if we had a 6-hour workday,
Yeah.
if 2 people worked that same job for 6 hours and made the same thing as the person before did in 8 hours.
Exactly. The production will remain the same and everyone will be employed. Their purchase power will remain the same with little change. And society will move on. And slowly, as automation grows, we can do this 4 hours, 2 hours, and in the very long end, we can abolish manual labor and it will be done by robots. in a couple of decades. And he was writing this 150 years ago. This is madness. This is the first reason I'm a socialist. I believe everyone should profit and everyone should have time for leisure and creative abilities. Today, our society, based on Marxist theory of alienation, you have a worker like you, for example. You work 8 hours, you drive from job and back hour, maybe a bit more. You eat for another hour and rest for another hour. And then what do you have left? You have like 3-4 hours to enjoy yourself before you have to sleep and wake up in the next morning because you work 8 hours instead, not 4, not 6. And what do you get in the end? You're extremely tired and you just watch TV and fall to sleep. You are not creating with your brain because all your mental capacity have been exhausted. And another issue I have to say here before I give you the right to speak is that our work week is exhausting. You work from Monday to Friday. That's 5 days straight work. We should do it like the Soviet Union did and break the work day into sections. In the Soviet Union, everyone worked 6 hours. All right? In some cases 7 and in some cases 5. And everyone was retiring. All men were retired at the age of 60 and all women were retired at the age of 55. The work week was 8 days. Sorry, not the work week, the week. The week was 8 days, not 7. And the work week was 6 days. So they got 2 days off and they got it every 4 days. And I advise to do the same in Western capitalist countries today. That we can work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be a day off, Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be work, and Sunday again will be day off. In such case, people will be more rested because, let's say me or you, right? We got on Monday to job and we're like, fuck, now it's Monday, you know. You don't feel good. And on Monday you're rested. Tuesday you're rested, but then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday you're exhausted. On Friday you don't see the time to go home. You're like, I want to stop working, you know. But if we break it on segments, on 2 segments, the work week, we will be able to be like, okay, I work Monday, I work Tuesday, oh, it's Wednesday, now it's my day off. And again, 3 more days, day off. We will feel much more relaxed and open, and it won't create laziness because when you sit down for 2 days straight and then it's work next day, you go to work with a heavy heart, you know.
Well, personally, I think while it might have a good idea behind it, I think it creates more stress that if you have to work Monday, Tuesday, then you have Wednesday for free.
Yeah.
But after Wednesday, you have to go back to work. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
It will break. It will be like 2 days break, 3 days break, and again 2 days break, 3 days break.
But isn't 2 days straight better? Like it's a reward. You work 5 days, then you have a weekend to lay down, lay low.
Yeah, of course, 2 days is very good because you have more resting time. But you're completely exhausted after 5 days, and you're completely exhausted. It's not worth the time. Another idea is reducing the work days to 4. Some people have commented this. I don't quite commend this because it will be too much, but it's a good idea as well.
Well, I guess it depends because
I believe ideally every man will have his schedule as he wanted. For example, you want to have weekend, you're used to it. I would prefer if I had Wednesday off, for example, you know.
Yeah.
Or Thursday or whatever, like one in the middle of the week. But I think my new idea is better, not mine. Well, a lot of people have come with it. Because it will, you will rest mid-week and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
But I guess it depends. I guess it depends greatly. Maybe some are maybe used to weekend, so they are working hard in the week to the weekend.
What do you think of my idea for a 6 hours or 4 hours work?
Well, I am all in for a 6 or maybe even 4 hour workday,
Yes.
as long as I get the same payment as I get before.
Yeah, with
And that's
little
the
differences. Yeah.
but that's the main issue as well, because some entrepreneurs, employers, they are not willing to change to that. They do not want to pay more for an workday.
You wouldn't pay more. I have calculated this in Greece, right? And in Greece, the minimum wage is 760 a month. The minimum wage per hour lies at 4.7 US dollars. Sorry, euros, not US dollars. Euros. So per hour, the minimum wage in Greece is about 4.7. We should increase that to 6 per hour. And in this case, at the end of the month, working 40 hours less, you will be making 720 minimum wage per month. So you would lose like 40 euros about. And you will gain, you will have to work 40 hours less. So your economic, your purchase power won't decrease much, and you will work much less. I think it's a very good idea. And if you are not in favor of doing it like this and you want to have exactly the same minimum wage as you work, I don't think it's a big issue to pay you €1 more per hour, right? I don't.
Well, I'm not an entrepreneur, so I cannot really say.
And
if that's too much.
The state could cover this with subsidies for smaller businesses. You know, the state will be like, you will pay your worker €5 per hour, and I will pay you 1 extra.
I think that's reasonable, actually, that the state subsidies the less.
Think, you will have 1.15 million more workers for the state to tax. They would buy consumer goods. They will be productive members of the society. It's great.
That is actually, to be honest, that is actually.
Right now in Greece, we have 4.7 million workers. So not even half our population are working. And the people who work on the industrial sector are like 15-20% of that. So Greece is 1 million Greeks work in the industrial sector, and the rest don't. The rest are parasites, essentially. To be blunt, they're not producing anything. They're working on services, marketing. They're not producing on industry. So I think if we employ more people, it will be great.
Yeah, I kind of think the same too right now.
Now let's talk about yourself. You're not, you're working on a manual labor, but you are not enjoying your job. You would like, for example, if you had a UBI and you were paid €1,000 per month by the state, you could work a part-time job and at the same time do what you really want. You would advance your education. You would work as an art designer. Would that be ideal for you? Wouldn't it?
Of course. If I can sustain my own lifestyle with by doing less, of course I would be up for that.
Exactly, I would want the same, because let's think that I will have €1,000 guaranteed by the state.
Yeah.
And then I could work myself a good job, a well-paying job, or I could work a part-time job. And the money I make, I will pay my living expenses with a UBI. And the money I make, I could invest on the economy. I could buy stocks, I could invest in developing countries in the Balkans. And it will benefit everyone. It's ideal.
Yeah, it is. And I fully support stuff like that.
So please, guys, go in the description. I have pinned the message. Sign the UBI and have the universal basic income in Europe. You need to be a European citizen over the age of 18 to sign the petition. They will ask you for your name, surname, and either your ID or your address, and you're complete. And if we gather 1 million signature by 11 months from now, just 11 months, we need 900,000 more signatures. We
Doesn't it have like 100,000 already?
Yeah, we have already 100,000. If we gather 900,000 more, we are going to have this discussed at the European Parliament. And our representatives can hear our opinion for the first time.
That it's a good goal to work for, so that we all would have a life where we can have our expenses paid.
Exactly.
And we can support the economy and make better for ourselves.
Yeah.
It will only benefit us.
Absolutely. Okay. From a lot of people in Greece now they have a liberal/neoliberal point of view. They think that increasing taxes is bad for businesses, right? But at the same time, one of the most successful for business-friendly environments is Scandinavia. But Scandinavia has a very big taxation. How do you think, to debunk their lies, how do you think Scandinavia behaves? So it has very high taxes, a good quality of life to its citizens, and at the same time, a high taxation. And yet the businesses are not leaving the country. How do you think this is caused?
That is actually a very difficult question. Like I said, I am not an entrepreneur, but I haven't really get into this kind of topic already.
So in total here I see
yeah,
Sweden
go on.
Is taxing people who make more than 53,000 euros per year. It is taxing them 52% of their income. That's absurd. They tax them half their income, yet they're not leaving the country. They have a very well life quality there. And businesses too.
I think the reason for that is partly because in our countries you have a lot more benefits for tax paying. Like, let's take America as an example. In America you need to pay thousands, if not tens of thousands, for your medical bills.
Definitely.
And you need a lot of money to get good education. Finland or Nordic countries, all Nordic countries, you don't need to do that. So it's much easier for the entrepreneurs to start a business because they can like get a contract with some medical business. They don't need to work that much. They don't need to worry that much about their working people, and education is here much better. So the entrepreneurs, they do not have to risk too much. Like, if you have bad education, the working people will be like they work badly. But if you have good education, the working people, they will work good. So the employer don't have to risk too much in country like Scandinavia.
I think one of the reasons is first that there is not a lot of bureaucracy. You can start a business anywhere. The state respects
I guess that's
people.
true.
The state respects its people. It doesn't screw over them. It is easy to start business and conduct your capital movements. And it doesn't benefit a businessman to leave from Sweden and go to some Balkan country that has low taxes, because it will not be easier to make a lot of money. And Sweden is a very wealthy country, and people are consuming with their consumer power. They make businesses there flourish. And it is absurd that people, for example, say that Venezuela is socialist or Venezuela is communist, when Sweden is more nationalized than Venezuela, and Norway completely. Norway has nationalized more than a third of its economy, like 35%. It is absolutely absurd. Do you know more about Norway? Do they pay their people based on the petroleum sale?
Not actually. The only things I really know about Norwegian work life is that the living expenses they're high. The people they work even the most common jobs they still get paid more. And for example, if you live in Sweden and you work some common job in Norway, you might live a very good life. So what what can I say about Norway? It's a very good country. As long as you are not Norwegian yourself.
Absolutely.
And by that I of course mean that if you are not Norwegian yourself and you work in Norway, you might save a lot more money for yourself, for your own future. But if you are Norwegian, you work in Norway, you will have higher income, and you will, well, maybe you will pay more of that for living expenses, but you get more in return because the country has oil.
I support nationalizing all natural resources, even in Greece, and using some of that money to pay our military expenditure so the taxpayers don't have to. And the rest can be redistributed amongst people as a stimulus pack as well. And yeah, that's pretty much
I support that kind of thing in my country as well. But I would like to point out that I especially support nationalizing electric businesses. The
we have that in
businesses
Greece.
that produce the electricity, nationalizing them would be extremely beneficial.
In Greece, we have private companies now.
Same in Finland.
But our main company used to be nationalized. I think now they sold parts of it. But our main company was nationalized. Now it's not anymore, sadly.
It happened. The same thing happened in Finland. The electricity companies were nationalized, but they were privatized, and we pay more in electricity.
Yeah, that's rubbish. I support nationalizing all neuralgic, all key aspects of society, like the energy and all that.
Yes, that is very good and noble thing.
All right, we should have another discussion later. It's been an hour. I don't want to tire our audience and ourselves. It was nice having a discussion, and we should do it another time, maybe next weekend.
Of course.
We'll see about that.
Of course, and
any closing. Yeah.
And if I would like to say one more thing, I would like to, if you're going to host a discussion like this, we should host a lot more like restricted, because personally I feel like some of these topics we talked about, we cut them too short, or I or you talk too much. So
yeah,
I think we should make them less loose and more restricted, more direct into the subject.
Next time we are going to talk about a subject. Today we spoke about living conditions, how society has changed from working in your local factory, working at Nokia, to today's digital companies like Apple that employ people all over the world. We have discussed about the minimum wage, hours per work, universal basic income, socialism, automation. We have discussed all of this.
It's just been a roller coaster of topics today. Yeah.
So, all right, next time we should point at one subject, maybe cut it short, like 30 minutes, and then move to another subject. Oh, well, thank you for participating.
A bit more direct.
Thank you for participating. It was nice to have you here, and thank you all for watching, and be sure that we are going to return with other topics next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye. It was my pleasure.